Have you ever heard a speech so controversial that it made hundreds of people just get up and leave on the spot? That's exactly what happened during one of Jesus's most famous teachings. And it wasn't over politics or some moral rule. It all came down to a single, really shocking idea.
So what was it? Well, it all centered on a metaphor. Or was it even a metaphor at all? That's the real puzzle we're going to dig into. How can a figure of speech, or, the lack of one, cause that many people to just walk out?
All right, so let's set the stage. The whole conversation starts out pretty simple, actually. Jesus uses a concept that everyone there would have totally understood. He calls himself the bread of life.
And look at how clear the metaphor seems at first, right? The actions he's talking about are purely spiritual, coming to me, believing in me. It's symbolic, it's poetic, and at this point, nobody's got a problem with it. So the main thing to get here is that the initial language is all about acts of faith, looking, believing, coming to him. Everyone's on board. For now, anyway. And this is really important. The original Greek word he uses here kind of backs up that symbolic vibe. It's phago. Just think of it as a general word for eating. Sure, it can be literal, but it's also flexible. It can mean partake or consume in a metaphorical sense. Just keep this word in mind, it's our starting point. Okay, but this is exactly where the whole teaching takes a very sharp, very uncomfortable turn. That nice abstract metaphor is about to get incredibly personal and physical. And there it is. Boom. He directly connects the metaphorical bread to his own body. The bread is my flesh. You can just imagine the record scratch moment for the crowd listening to this.
And right here, you see the breakdown. They're not hearing a beautiful symbol anymore. They're hearing a literal and, frankly, disturbing instruction. Their reaction is immediate. How can this man give us his flesh to eat?
Now, you'd think this would be the perfect time for him to clarify, right? To kind of soften it and say, whoa, you guys misunderstood. But he does the exact opposite. He doubles down and makes it even more scandalous.
He not only repeats the command about his flesh, but then he adds that they have to drink his blood. Now, for his Jewish listeners, this is where things just went completely off the rails. So, why was this so completely unthinkable for them? Well, first, he starts with truly, truly, which is basically the ancient way of saying, listen up, I am dead serious, and this is non-negotiable. And second, drinking blood was a huge no-no in their law. It was explicitly forbidden. To them, this was just a horrifying thing to hear. But believe it or not, it doesn't even stop there. This next part, this is the linguistic point of no return. And it all comes down to a deliberate and really dramatic change of one single word.
Remember that first Greek word we talked about, phago? The general could be a metaphor term for to eat. That's the word he's been using up to this point. But right at the peak of the crowd's confusion and disgust, when everyone's probably arguing, he changes the language. He makes it even more specific and way more intense. He switches from phago to the verb trogo. And this word, it's incredibly graphic. Trogo doesn't just mean to eat. It means to chew, to gnaw, to munch. It's the kind of word you'd use for an animal gnawing on something. It is physical, it's visceral, and it pretty much strips away any possibility that he's still speaking in metaphors. And just in case switching to trago wasn't enough, he adds this explicit confirmation, for my flesh is true food, and my blood is true drink. He is leaving absolutely zero room for a symbolic interpretation here. He's basically underlining it. So what's the result of this incredibly intense, progressively more literal teaching? Well, it's a mass exodus. And here it is, the consequence. The text says many of his disciples, we're not just talking about the random crowd, but people who were actually following him, they heard this, and it was the last straw. They turned back and were done for good. But the most telling part might be what didn't happen next. He just watched them leave. He didn't run after them yelling, wait, it was just a symbol, you misunderstood. He let them walk away, standing by the literal weight of his words. Which really leaves us with the core problem of this whole event. You see this calculated shift from a gentle metaphor to a graphic, literal command. A command so shocking it cost him his followers. And it just forces you to ask, if it was all just a symbol, why on earth wouldn't he just say so?